I want to leave my husband after he showed complete emotional neglect during my miscarriage and recovery. My husband and I have been married for 3 years and together for 5. His 3 adult children live with us, and we've been struggling with infertility since we got married. Last year was incredibly difficult. I got laid off from my tech job, and a couple weeks later my husband had a stroke. During his recovery, I took on absolutely everything because he literally couldn't function, which was completely understandable at the time. We took a major financial hit, depleted our savings, and accumulated significant debt. By June this year, we'd started going to a fertility clinic. I was working full-time again, and my husband had made about a 90% recovery from his stroke. However, I was still doing literally everything around the house: cleaning, managing finances, letting his kids use my car for school and work, cooking, all of it. Whenever I asked for help, he'd either dismiss me or turn it into an argument where he'd give me the silent treatment, then have the audacity to expect sex later that night with no apology or accountability. I finally got pregnant in late May, but miscarried 6 weeks later. That experience completely broke me. I didn't get out of bed for a week, was in physical pain, wasn't feeding myself, and was utterly miserable. During the roughly 4 weeks I was out of work dealing with depression, my husband didn't do a single thing around the house. He let dishes and laundry pile up and basically carried on as if life was normal. One night, that still haunts me, he asked if I was okay, and I told him no, that I was in pain and hadn't eaten. He just got on his phone and didn't even offer to get me food. Later, when I finally dragged myself up to make something to eat while still bleeding and in pain, he had the nerve to ask me to make something for him too. It took me several more months to emerge from the depression and realize just how emotionally neglectful he'd been throughout this entire ordeal. On top of that, I discovered he'd been hiding serious financial problems. He was $15,000 behind on taxes and had lied about having money for our planned vacation, forcing me to max out my credit cards to cover expenses. Now we're filing for bankruptcy. When I tried to have a serious conversation about marriage counseling, he completely dismissed everything I said. He claimed I was overreacting, said the financial issues weren't a big deal, and refused counseling outright. After nearly 2 weeks of silent treatment, hurtful comments, and defensiveness, he finally apologized and agreed to counseling, though he made sure to mention he wouldn't like it. What really disturbed me was that as soon as I kissed him and said I felt better about his apology, he immediately asked for sex. It made me realize he might only be motivated by physical intimacy rather than genuine care about how much he's hurt and neglected me. Even though he's agreed to counseling, I don't feel like I want to work on this relationship anymore. I feel guilty because in many ways he's a decent person. He goes to work every day, doesn't cheat, and isn't abusive in obvious ways, but he's completely emotionally unavailable and neglectful. During one of the most traumatic experiences of my life, when I needed him most, he acted like my suffering was an inconvenience to his normal routine. The pattern is clear. I carry the entire emotional and practical burden of our relationship while he contributes the bare minimum and expects to be rewarded for it. His response to my miscarriage showed me that when life gets truly difficult, I'll be handling it alone anyway. I'm questioning whether there's any point in trying to save a marriage where I felt abandoned during my darkest moment.